Hi Leon, good morning, how are you?
Good morning, Chandra.
Yeah. So today we are here to have a learning session. So let me go through the steps. So the purpose of today's learning session is equip you with the skills and knowledge to conduct safe handling of the chemicals in the lab. Okay? So there is a little bit of preparation that is required before we start this session. But I will do that. Also, please remember to take your notes, and also you can take videos just to refresh yourself after this initial demonstration session. And if you can have any doubts, then always you can go back to this thing. So the total duration of our demonstration session will be roughly around 20 to 30 minutes. Okay. So during the session, please take note of the steps of handling the chemicals, and also you have any doubts in between, you will always feel free to ask me. Okay. So basically we will go over to our fumid cabinet here, and then I will start all the steps in sequence, and please observe the sequences. If you have any doubts in between, you can ask. So feel free to ask questions anytime, and if you are unclear. Okay. So basically the steps that you are learning today is exactly you will be doing in your daily routine job as a lab technician, and it is important for you to understand the safety aspects of conducting this task. So I will go through the steps right now. Alright?
Thank you.
Any questions that you have?
I'm looking forward. Thank you.
Okay, and please feel free to take some videos.
Okay.
Okay. So before we start this session, I have prepared all the equipment for you and the materials for you, and at the same time I have prepared 2 sets of personal protective equipment for us before we conduct this handling of the chemicals. So our first step of doing it is checking the chemicals against their safety information, making sure there is the correct chemical for the test method, and ensuring that all the relevant chemical solutions or reagents that you are using is as per the batch sheet. Alright? Okay. The next step of it is, so I have made the checking already. So the next step of it is to also identify the hazards of this chemical, because we are going to handle it. So basically we need to have the safety data sheet. The safety data sheet is the document that is given by the chemical supplier that gives you all the hazardous information, exposure information, and also how to handle it in terms of what are the precautions that you need to take, and also in terms of using the personal protective equipment appropriately before you handle the chemical. So based on this chemical reagent here, we have the safety data sheet, and the section 2 of this safety data sheet gives you the information about the hazards and the personal protective equipment that needs to be worn. The third step here is recognizing the hazardous symbol of the chemicals that you are handling.
So what does this symbol mean?
So basically, in order to facilitate your understanding, I have made a chart here. So here you have the symbol. So currently we have a symbol here which talks about corrosives, and it is also an irritant. So because it's a chemical compound, then we need to ensure that we protect ourselves with the personal PPE that is required. Okay?
We make some notes.
Alright.
Yeah, or I will make some notes, you can carry on.
Absolutely. Alright. So the next step of it is to protect ourselves before conducting this experiment by having the appropriate exposure controls, which is personal protective equipment. So basically for this particular chemical here, we are following the MSDS information. So basically I will just use the personal protective equipment. You can observe me doing it, and then later on you can also. So first we are wearing this chemical apron. reason by which you need to protect your face and the eyes. So you are putting a face shield. And then make sure you have conducted a full body check of all the personal protective equipment. So you have covered your face, face and eyes with the face shield. And then after that you've got to protect your torso with a apron, and then you have the chemical gloves. So before we start conducting the experiment, make sure you follow all the instructions according to the according to the MSDS, and then you can start conducting the experiments. Alright? So is the steps clear for you?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So now I am going to go through the steps really slow for you.
Alright.
So this time around, what I am going to do is, I will go through the steps in small bite-sized pieces, in chunks. I will divide the 5 steps into 3 and 2. The first 3 steps I will go through slowly, and for each step I will also explain you why we are doing it. Okay? Okay, Leon?
Yep.
This is the step number 1.
Alright.
The step number 1 is to verify whether you have chosen the correct solution and reagent according to the batch sheet.
Alright.
You know why we are doing this?
Not sure.
Alright. So basically we need to identify the correct material, because we do not want inadvertent mixing of the chemicals. So that's why we have a batch sheet. The batch sheet is being issued according to the test method. That is why we would like to make sure that we verify. So now I'm doing the verification according to the batch sheet. So we have checked that the batch sheet says that we need hydrochloric acid and 6 normal HCl. So we prepare according to the batch sheet. Step number 2. The step number 2 is to ensure that you have the relevant information about this material. Basically, the information that is very important is to have the material safety data sheet, because it is a chemical compound. So the material safety data sheet gives you all the information about the chemical, the physical chemical properties and the hazard information, as well as the exposure controls in terms of the personal protective equipment in order to protect from the route of exposure.
Chandra, can you tell me one more time where do we look at which section?
So basically the MSDS has 14 sections. So the first section is the product identifier, it gives the name of the chemical, and then you come to section number 2 that gives the hazard information. Okay? So basically the section number 2, and then lastly you need to go to the exposure control. Alright? And then the other important information is to also recognize the symbols.
Okay.
So basically the symbols that are here are for you to identify the physical and chemical properties, and it gives a quick information about the hazards. So in order to recognize the symbol, I have provided a GHS chart, Global Harmonized System GHS symbol from the chemical information. So you need to look at the information relevant. So in this case, it talks about the corrosives and it talks about the irritant. So this is basically to help you understand the physical and chemical properties and what is the hazardous that it poses.
Okay. Now I know where to look for the information, right? What the symbol means.
Alright.
Right. Now I know it.
Okay. So just we reinforce the step that we learned. The first step is we went through verifying the chemical against its batch sheet, making sure we choose the correct chemical. The second step is ensuring that we have the correct
Safety data sheet.
safety data sheets of this, and in the safety data sheet, I given you the instruction where you can find the hazards of the material and appropriate personal protective equipment that we need to use in handling this material.
Right.
Alright? And then thirdly, you also look at the physical hazards by recognizing the symbols. In terms of this chemical, we know that it is a corrosive in nature and also it's a irritant. Alright? Is that clear? These three steps? You have any questions?
Can we repeat one more time? The first step is
To ensure based on the test method,
right.
the batch sheet, you check the material against the batch sheet. Ensure you take the correct material.
Right.
The second step is to make sure that you understand all the hazards of the material by having the relevant safety data sheets.
Right.
Okay? And thirdly, you need to ensure you recognize the hazardous symbol.
Oh, got to hear. Okay.
And you can recognize to the global hazardous symbols chart and understanding. Okay? So now I'm going to go to the step number 4 and 5. Okay? So after you have read all this information, understood the information, the next step is to use the correct PPE, because you need to start to conduct your testing. So the fourth step is, based on the safety data sheet, you start wearing your personal protective equipment. So in this case, is a corrosive substance. So we start protecting ourselves by wearing the appropriate PPE. So the first thing is, we need to wear a apron. This is to protect your body from accidental spills and splashes. So basically you wear the apron, okay, secure it tightly. Okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And then the next step is to also make sure you protect your eyes and face from any inadvertent splashes or reactions. So you wear this chemical face shield.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Alright.
Yeah.
And then you wear your hand protection. It's the chemical resistant glove. And lastly, you also wear your respiratory protection because it's a corrosive substance. So you protect yourself from harmful dust and vapors. Okay. After you have worn your PPE correctly, then you can start conducting your experiment.
Okay.
Okay? Okay?
So maybe.
So the reason why we are wearing this personal protective equipment in this sequence is to make sure that we protect our body parts correctly from any accidental spills or exposures. And they have to be worn in a sequence. Alright? Okay?
So Chandra, as you get step 4 is PPE.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Alright. And then the step 5 is you can carry on your experiment.
Okay. Understood. Yeah.
Alright.
Mm.
Is that clear? If you
Yeah.
have any doubts?
No. Yeah, very clear. I understood the step 1, 2, 3 PPE. Step 5, I'll start the experiment.
Alright. Excellent. So now then I have taught you clearly the steps of conducting this one. So I would like you to practice these steps.
Alright.
So you are ready to do your practice.
Okay, thank you, Chandra. I'll need your help. If I miss any step, you guide me along.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So step 1 is we will look at the. Today I'm going to handle HCl and this hydrochloric acid. I'll look at this title, right? Title. Then I follow the batch record here, right? Right. The batch record is reflecting the same name, Right. Then next thing is I look at I need to know the safety information. Am I right? So
Yeah.
I need to go to the safety data sheet here. So I need to refer, like you mentioned to me, I need to refer sections. Okay, let me take a look. Okay, there's section 2 talks about hazard. Section 3, section 4 talks about first aid, firefighting, and section 7 talks about handling. Section 8 talks about PPE. Am I correct?
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
Okay. Then and the next step is I need to look at the symbol. So in both portals they have a symbol pasted, and refer back to here. This symbol stands for corrosive. This symbol stands for irritant.
Excellent.
So now I know if all the safety information recognize the physical hazard. Okay. So this I'm at step 3. So next I will look at the PPE. I need to wear the PPE. So I see that you mentioned I need to wear the face mask. I need to wear the apron. Secure my apron. The face mask, the glove. So I need the face shield. And I'm at step 4. So now I can start my experiment. Am I right? Chandra, can you check for me?
Sure.
Okay. Maybe. Alright, I'm clear now. Did I demonstrate correctly?
Great, excellent.
Okay.
I think you followed the steps exactly in the manner that I have currently demonstrated, and it is a good observation and replicating the same. Okay? Yeah, great. Thank you for this. But before we go to the next one, so probably I need to give you a little brief. So next I'll be doing an assessment. Assessment against your knowledge of conducting this activity, and also I'll do an assessment on your skill of performing this task.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yeah.
So now then you will be ready.
Okay.
And during the assessment, part of the assessment, I will also need your help to use your mobile phone to answer some of the questions. Alright? So we will use that one.
Okay.
Are you ready for the assessment?
Alright, Chandra, I'm ready.
Alright. So can you open your phone and go into the Kahoot? Okay, you can go in there.
Okay.
Okay, so let me just show you. So you can just try to answer the questions on the Kahoot. Okay. All right. So you can now see the first question
Right.
coming up to you. Can you answer this question?
Okay. Yep.
Excellent.
Okay.
So I'll do the next question for you.
Yeah.
Okay, you got it?
Okay, got it. Oh.
Excellent. Perfect. Great. Yeah, thank you, Leon.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a great effort. Yeah. Okay. So now I'm going to do the assessment for you. So first we will go do with the skill assessment.
Right. Right.
Okay? Can you demonstrate the steps of handling the chemicals in the lab? Go through the sequence of steps
Alright.
again.
Okay.
Can you do that?
Okay, let me start.
Yeah.
Mr. Chandra, can I start now?
Yes, please.
Alright.
Yep.
So, today I'm asked to handle, do experiment on two chemicals over here. And so I need to check whether it is part of my batch record. So I refer to my batch record. It says I need to handle hydrochloric acid and HCl. So it's right. Okay. So next thing I need to know what is the hazard of these two chemicals. So I go to the safety data sheet. Let me see. So I need to refer to section 1 talks about the chemical. Then section 2 talks about the hazard. Section 4 talks about first aid, right? Firefighting and accident. Section 8 talks about PPE. So this is the PPE I need to wear. Okay, I'm ready. I know what is the information I need. The this thing is I need to check the symbol on the label. So I don't know what is this symbol. So I look at my reference chart. My reference chart says that this symbol is corrosive and this symbol is irritant. Right. So I already know the physical hazard. So the next thing is before I start, I need to wear the PPE. So Mr. Chandra told me that I need to put on apron. First thing I already have my mask. Then I put on the apron. Secure. And my glove. And next thing I wear my face shield to protect myself, my body, and my nose. Alright, so I'm ready to start my experiment. Chandra, can I start?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I do my experiment here. Check, and I record the right with me. Okay. Mr. Chandra, did I do correctly?
Yes, yes. Go ahead. Yeah, continue. All right. Great.
Oh.
Thank you, Mr. Leong. So now I'm going to ask a few questions to test your knowledge against what you have learned so far.
Alright.
Is that okay?
Okay.
Yeah, you can remove your PPE
Okay.
and then so my first question will be, why is it important that you need to check the batch sheet against what you have taken, the chemicals that you have taken?
To make sure I don't mix wrong chemicals together.
Excellent. Yeah. So my second question is, how do you identify that you have the correct information based on what document, that especially on the safety information of your chemical that you are handling?
I have to refer to the safety data sheet. Safety data sheet, right? Yeah. Confirm.
Alright. So do you know which section of the safety data sheet you need to refer to understand the hazards and how to prevent yourself from the accidental exposures?
Let me check. I need to look at the hazards section,
Yep.
the composition, the first aid, firefighting, accidental release, storage handling, and PPE.
Great.
Right.
Great. Excellent. Okay. So, in terms of the PPE, what are the PPE that is relevant for this task?
I need to protect my body,
Mm-hmm.
right? The apron, my face shield increase accidental splash.
Yep.
I may come in contact my gloves,
Mhm.
and this mask is may breathe in the chemical. Yeah. Am I right, Mr. Chandra?
Yes, yes. Yeah, great job, Leon. Yeah, in fact, you have answered all the questions correctly. And lastly, this is about your overall performance. You have done quite an excellent job of demonstrating what you have learned during this learning session. So basically, after this learning session, I'll follow up with you exactly in a week's time, just to reinforce and also support your learning by going through the steps, and then you will also have an opportunity to train again. Okay? Is there any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chandra. Today I'm very clear how I can handle safely, and I feel very safe when how to refer the symbols and so on.
Alright.
Yeah.
So before I conclude, I would need your help to do the evaluation form. So maybe you can start filling your evaluation form on this session and give me your feedback.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Leon. Thank you very much for this evaluation. With this, we will conclude this session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chandra.